And then you had this crazy idea for what was the next project?
I think we call it Prairie Falls Golf Club.
Yes, Prairie Falls Golf Club. But I mean, obviously you must have had like lots of years of golf course development and golf course management.
Yeah, totally.
So how did you decide to do this? That's kind of a big undertaking. Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Lyfe Podcast. I'm here with Rob Clark, and I've been actually waiting to talk with you just about the whole Prairie Falls Golf Club. I think I mentioned to you that my wife and I, our first house was in that development. Like, I think it was the same year that the front nine opened up, 98 or 99 or something like that.
That's awesome.
Good deal, man. Well, hey, one of the things that we do here is we just, sit down with people and hear their story and why they do what they do and see if we can learn something. And so let's just jump right in.
Okay.
Good deal. All right. Well, hey, could you tell us just a little bit about your background, where you're from, what you did, wife, kids, that type of thing,
right.
Whatever you want to share.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'm a farm boy out of Eastern Oregon. Grew up on a big potato and watermelon farm and years of her generations of family there. We moved to Cheney when I was 14. So whenever that was, went to school in Cheney and then moved to Spokane Valley about 94, moved to Coeur d'Alene in 98. And then I think we finally planted our roots in Post Falls about 2007-ish. So
awesome. Yeah. That's super cool. Now, obviously, we're going to definitely get into what you're doing now. But when did you realize that you were kind of cut from the entrepreneurial cloth? Like, when did you decide, like, dude, I think I want to do business for myself?
Well, I would say my grandpa was probably my idol, or the guy that I kind of tried to emulate a little bit. He was always self-employed. When I was 14, in Cheney, I opened up a lawn business, and my dad had a mortgage company. And so I actually would go to the real estate offices. I'd make these little flyers, hand draw on them and color them and stuff like that. And took these flyers to different real estate offices there in Cheney and say, hey, can I mow your lawn? Can I do some yard work? Can I do this? And then handed them out, kind of door to door. And it grew into a pretty lucrative business when I was 14. A couple of people working with me were for me. And so that's, and then about 16, I would go down to Hermiston and grab a truckload of watermelons, and I'd go up and park on the side of the road somewhere in Cheney and just start selling Hermiston watermelons out of the back of the truck. And that just kind of segued into when I was 17, built my first house with my mom and my brother.
That's cool.
And so then I was just like, at that point in time, I said, you know what? I hate this job. I will never do this ever again. Construction is dumb. But I think I came to realize that what I liked to see was what I started with, and then what was, what the finished product was.
Yeah, that's cool.
Kind of see the fruits of my labors,
And so basically from the beginning of your working career, you've always been an entrepreneur. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Yeah. I was always self-employed. So, yeah. There's some pros and cons to that, but
yeah, you trade the 40-hour week for a 24/7 job.
Yep. That's exactly true.
Good deal. So when you said, hey, I built this house and I'm never going to do that again, my guess is that you did it again.
I did it hundreds of times.
Oh, you had a construction company?
I did. So, I did mostly construction. I didn't even tell you this, Dave, but I actually have a couple medical equipment patents.
Really?
So I was kind of doing some medical equipment manufacturing. I had a couple patents there. One was a bath lift, and the other one was a walker, like a transfer type walker. And that kind of fizzled out. So construction was always something that always provided for my family. So I kind of got out of that kind of stuff and just really focused on building houses and doing some commercial projects and just working for myself.
Cool deal. So were you mostly commercial or mostly residential? Some commercial?
Yeah, mostly residential.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where was your construction company, in Washington, or was it over here in Idaho?
It was both Washington and Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in both states.
Good deal. Yeah, I would guess once you've worked for yourself or once you get that entrepreneurial bug or whatever, it's probably close to impossible to, punch in at 9 and check out at 5 or whatever it is. Yeah, good deal. And then when you moved to Post Falls, you had a couple of businesses in Post Falls, correct?
I did, yes. Yeah, so Post Falls, I ended up building and starting Bell Tower Funeral Home.
Did you build that?
I did build.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
And then we grew that. We had three different offices at one point in time. One in Salmon, one in Rathdrum, and then the main one in Post Falls. And I did that for a little over 10 years. And
so how did you decide to get into funeral home business? I mean, did you have like some kind of, was there family related into that, or
no family?
How did you decide that?
I had a good friend who was a mortician. We kind of chatted a little bit, and I was kind of just thinking, what is a business? The construction industry it's always kind of up and down. You get your ebbs and flows, and so I said, what's if I want to hang up my shingle, I want to be done, or hang up my tool belt, what do I want to do? And I guess, Dave, my fault in my life is I'm a people pleaser.
Yep, I can relate.
And so, anyways, I just felt like it was time for a change, kind of get out of the construction industry, and I felt like, you know what, I can do this. Death is I have a different understanding of death, kind of where we go after this, and there's some comfort in that. So I said, let's do it.
Come on. How did you learn how to run a funeral home? Do you read, is there a book out there?
No, there's not. There's not. And really what it is, it's all customer service.
Yeah.
Instructions, customer service. The funeral home is customer service. You just treat people the way that you want to be treated, under the same circumstances. And so for me, it was pretty easy to kind of just transition. It's just, I'm not building your house. I'm actually taking care of your loved one that you just lost. And so my goal, my job was to make sure that when they left my funeral home, they were in a better position than when they walked through the front door.
Yeah. So how long did you have that?
A little over 10 years.
Wow. So you probably helped see a lot of funerals. I mean, with 3 offices in 10 years,
we did quite a few. It was very rewarding. I actually miss it.
Yeah, I could see that.
And if I ever give up what I'm doing, I'll probably go back into that business just for something to do.
Well, the crazy thing is, it's weird that you say that, because the crazy thing is, 25 years ago, I was a pastor at a church. And so it was a larger church, and we'd always get, calls in, hey, can you do my wedding, or can you do my funeral? I was always the guy that wanted to do the funerals. And not that I have this fascination with death or anything. It was just, people are so, they're at this state where, sometimes they're devastated. Sometimes you have ladies that have children at home and they lost their husband, who could have been the main income earner. Sometimes they didn't have life insurance. And so I just thought it was a time to connect with people and be there for them. Yeah, it was weird. But I remember I did this lady's funeral like 25, 26, 27 years ago. I don't remember. It was the lady's mom, and I was a young buck. And I remember getting the call, and I went to the hospital because her mom was, it was the last moments. And I was just like, oh, dude, I have no idea what to say. I have no idea what to do. And to this day, I don't know exactly what I did.
You probably walked in and said, how you doing?
Something like that. And just sat there, and, did the occasional, arm around and, hey, what, I don't know what I did. And then I ended up doing the mom's funeral. If I see this lady today in town, I think I ran into her like 6 months ago or whatever. She's just like, oh my goodness, thank you so much for what you did for my family. And to this day, I still don't really remember what, I think it was just being there and just trying to treat people with respect and dignity. And, so I could easily see where that would be, in a strange way, very rewarding.
Very,
very, yeah. So you've never ran a funeral home, and then you opened that business, and then wasn't there like a sawmill grill somewhere, or
yes,
what happened there? So you've been a restaurateur for a long time, right?
Well, yeah, I guess I've been a restaurateur for 6-7 years now.
Wow. So had you done it? You haven't?
No, not a clue.
Were you a cook? Okay.
Not at all. I mean, I cook at home, but
yeah. And you go to restaurants.
That doesn't make you a chef. Right. And I go to restaurants. So, hey, how hard could it be, right?
Yeah.
No, I had a good friend, rest his soul, who was a manager of a local restaurant. We became very close, and I had a piece of property, and I just said, hey, let's do a restaurant. And I have a good relationship with, a lot of the people down at the city of Post Falls. And I says, what can we do with this piece of property? And so they just said, hey, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And I said, great. Anything to maximize the use there. And this buddy of mine said he would love to run it. And so I said, okay, let's do it. So he was my manager and helped me through the process of getting it opened. We just built it. Went. He he ended up going a different route shortly after we opened. I think I ended up having to figure out how to run a restaurant after about 2 or 3 months. I was just like, at the same time, my wife, she was running the funeral home. I was running the restaurant. I had a construction company.
Oh my goodness.
With, I think at that point in time, I probably had 25 employees. And so, I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, we were just moving and moving and moving. And she called me up, honey, we got to pick up, we got somebody we got to go pick up from the funeral home. So I'd change my hat, go to the funeral home. I'd meet with the family. I'd do this, do that. It was fun. And it was very busy for a good year and a half.
Yeah.
And I had finally said, you know what? I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so, had a very dear friend who was interested in the funeral home, sold the funeral home to him. Shortly after, I listed and sold both the townhomes that I built there and the Sawmill Grill to a couple here in town. The beautiful thing about all that is that the buddy that I sold the funeral home to, he's taken it a whole nother level.
Really?
So the things that I did, the things that I implemented, the personal care, the this or that, he actually took that and made it better. Same thing with the Sawmill Grill. The Millers have taken that. They've made some changes. It's still a staple in the community. They've got a great business going there. So that makes me feel good about choices that I've made or businesses that I've started, because the other people are, they take pride in it and they build on what's already been built. So there's that reward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great reward. That's super cool. So you sold both of those, right?
In 2020.
Okay. And then you had this crazy idea for, what was the next project?
I think we call it Prairie Falls Golf Club.
Yes, Prairie Falls Golf Club. But I mean, obviously you must have had like lots of years of golf course development and golf course management.
Yeah, totally.
So how did you decide to do this? That's kind of a big undertaking.
Yeah, it was. I looked at it more as from a financial perspective, as far as, or a financial move. I'm going, okay, I've got some money that I need to 1031. because I want to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
So I need to do this. And I figured buying 110 acres in the middle of Post Falls is probably a pretty safe bet,
Yeah.
Yes, it was a golf course.
But at least it had been successful 9 times from 9 different owners, right?
Yeah.
It was, I don't think that previous owners, and I don't want to say that they failed, but I don't think they found the success that they were planning on having. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah. Yeah. But I also think, Dave, that a lot of it had to do with timing. I don't think Post Falls was ready for what Prairie Falls has done now, in the last 3 years.
Right.
I don't think Post Falls was ready for that 10, 15 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think the timing worked out perfect. I think that I like to believe that we are kind of the pioneers of, the north side of Post Falls as that corridor continues to grow. I like to think that we're kind of the pioneers there to bring in, other businesses, because they know that Post Falls is growing north. So, you don't have to go down to Celtice. You don't have to go to Coeur d'Alene. You can actually just come right here in in your neighborhood there in Post Falls and get something to eat, get something to drink, maybe stay in a hotel, enjoy some live entertainment, comedy shows, this, that, whatever. And so I think it's all about timing.
Yeah. That's probably a fair point. So you decided to, purchase the golf course, but you've done way more than just the golf course. I mean, it's way more than just the golf course. I mean, what prompted you to come up with that idea, with the mall there, with
the mall?
Well, I don't, there's 4 businesses there, Anchored Coffee, River City Pizza, the Ray & Co salon, and then you're actually the Prairie Falls Market where you can, get groceries or whatever. Yeah. I mean, going from just a golf course to all of that with a hotel and a restaurant and an event center, That's a little bit more than just, we bought a golf course.
Well, at first, all I wanted to do was I was like, you know what? Because it was a double wide trailer.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what the clubhouse was.
I totally know that.
And so, there wasn't really any food or anything like that. So it felt like, hey, you know what? I just want to build a new clubhouse. Let's just do a new clubhouse that we can have a little restaurant there. That way we can bring in more tournaments. It'll generate a little more income for the golf course. So I told my architect that, and it grew. He's like, hey, how about we do this? And then he's like, what do you think about simulators? And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. We can golf in the wintertime. It'll help keep things moving. Well, if I'm doing simulators, I need to have a bigger restaurant, because if I have a bigger restaurant. And then I was like, you know what? Let's go upstairs. What would it cost for us to just move up another level? And it just, through the whole process, it grew and grew and grew. And I told him, I says, well, what about just give me a couple, 3 or 4 tenants that we can lease to, it should be some residual income.
Yep,
blah, blah.
yep.
Yeah, it grew to what it is.
It is. And it's amazing. I'd been to the clubhouse, or the double wide, I'd gone there quite a bit. And then someone told me, and then, I live in Coeur d'Alene. So someone told me, oh, I think they're building a new clubhouse there. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I spoke at a function would have been last summer before last, about a year and a half ago. And I was like, well, dude, are we going to stand around the clubhouse? Like, what's this going to be? It's going to be like, 20 people in a clubhouse. That's kind of weird. But, I went up to the event center. I'd never been up there. And I was like, there was tables all over. There's probably 200 people there. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then when I got done, I had no idea there was even a hotel there. And I got done, and I think the cleaning people were cleaning. And I was like, are those apartments or what? Because they're huge. I mean, the motel rooms are not like little tiny rooms. They're big. And I was like, what is going on? So then I was asking, and then I had to tour I was like, I got to look around and all this stuff. So it's crazy, but at least all the additions didn't cost any more money, right?
Yeah, no, that was all free. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. How did you decide? Like, obviously they can come up with plans, but obviously plans have a price tag. Like, what process did you go through to figure out, like, okay, this is going to cost a lot more, but it is going to make more? I mean, what's the ROI on this?
Yeah. How did I justify doubling the size or tripling the size of what I was actually intending to do in the very first place? I don't know. I mean, I guess I could just chalk it up to insanity, probably. I mean, my wife, sometimes she just sits there, she just kind of shakes her head like, well, I guess he thinks he can do it, then let's do it. And for me, it's one of those things that, you talked about the previous 9 owners, and those owners, I mean, every one of them have way more money than I have. I think it was, like I said, I think it had everything to do with timing. The pieces fell in place, at the right time for the right amount to be able to do what we needed to do. And then once it was done, and people who maybe opposed it in the beginning could come and enjoy or partake in the different festivities or the different products and services that we provide, to hear them say, I'm so glad you did this. There's that rewarding part.
Yeah, totally.
And then when you have the concerts, we have the summer concert series that we have out there on the event lawn. There's nothing that makes me happier than when I'm able to just kind of just stand back and just look and see all these different people, these different families, kids, adults, everybody just enjoying themselves. And for me, there's that rewarding part again. Do I want to pull my hair out during the week? Heck yeah, I do. But then it's those little moments where you have just that moment where you just kind of go, wow, these guys are enjoying this. So it's like, I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. I think for me, last summer, I had we were one of the sponsors for the Anna Schindler golf tournament.
Yeah.
And I mean, the venue was literally perfect and that was such a cool event and such a great cause. And, just you having all of those, the space, the amenities, it worked so perfect. We had the barbecue out there on the lawn, and we had the helicopter fly over top and drop the ducks on the pond there, or the water feature or whatever.
And owner dressed up in a duck outfit going out there on the boat. That was me, right?
I did not know that was you.
That was me, yeah.
Holy buckets.
So Polly buys me a duck suit. She says, hey, would you go out and get those rubber duckies out on the lake? I'm like, whatever you want me to do.
That's crazy. I had no idea that was you.
Yeah.
Obviously I didn't know you at the time. I met you when I came out to do a little spot with Jeff there. And then I think one of the, after I met you, I think I went up to look at the room because I had some friends that were looking to book the room for a event that's going to be at your place on March 12th.
Yeah.
The Night of Hope. And then the next time I saw you, you're sitting on the couch and I'm like, hey, Rob, literally don't know, like, we don't have this long history of like, hey, can you come out and shoot the camera for me? You're like, sure. So that was just, it was, so I think I've experienced that, feature about you, that character of you that just like, dude, you need some help? Sure, I'll help. And just, no questions asked. You run and do the camera. Even though it was like freezing cold and you had like a t-shirt on or something like that. So, I can relate to, I could totally see Polly saying, hey, can you go out there and get some? And you're like, sure, I'll go do it.
Yeah, that's fun.
Fun.
It's just different opportunities. And that's, that's kind of what life's all about.
It is.
We talked about the funeral stuff, talked about where you served that one family, and even 25, 26 years ago, till today, she sees you and she remembers that.
Yeah.
It's just all those little things, call them your little check marks or, your brownie points or something. But it's one of those things where it's more rewarding for us than I think it is for them.
I think so. Absolutely. It was like when, when I ran into her 6 months ago or whatever, and she was like, oh, you don't know what that did for my family or whatever. I'm like, dude, like you made not my day, my week.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Like when you think that at some point in time, I had this, this impact on this family. It's like, dude, I was like, for like a week, I'm like walking around like, dude, I'm tough. Whatever it was. I don't know. I didn't say I'm tough, but it just kind of like, dude, that was way more rewarding for me than for her. So yeah, that's super cool. Okay. To put you on the spot a little bit, looking back at how you turned this vision into reality, what do you think you did? Like, oh my goodness, I feel like we did a pretty good job on, 1, 2, or 3, whatever those points are. What do you think you did that you did really well? I didn't mean to put you on this.
You put me on the spot.
Yes, I did.
I would say that the one thing that I feel like I do really well is, so my staff, I would say that my staff works with me, not for me. I try to make sure that everybody feels important and included. And I would not expect them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So if there's something that I feel like I've done, I think it's probably that, letting them know that, hey, the boss is part of the team and he's willing to get his hands dirty with you.
Yeah, that's good. I think people genuinely respect that, rather than, I remember, so I had a restaurant for like 3 years, and I was the person that did the toilets, and I was the person that, because I was like, it just seems, well, one, I didn't want to pay someone to do it if I could do it myself. When you own a business, if you don't do it, you got to pay for it. So yeah, I definitely, that's a great principle. On the other side, you probably didn't make any mistakes during this whole process.
Yeah, not at all. It's the construction process has never stopped, Yeah. So changes, things that I didn't think about during construction, this and that. Because one thing I didn't tell you is that we built that place in about 8 months, a little over 8 months.
Yeah, it was quick.
From start to finish. And so there were a lot of hours. My son, Rogan, was there with me the whole time and learned a ton. We were hands-on contractors. It was quite the project. Well, I didn't plan as well as I could have or should have. And so there's some changes that we've made in different, power out in the event lawn, built the little atrium or whatever, pergola inside the dining room to kind of dress things up. So there's little things that we've always been adding to that we just didn't have the luxury to do when we were doing construction. Yeah.
Oh, well, on a way lesser extent, that's how this podcast studio is working. It seems like week to week, I'm adding a light or trying to figure something out.
It's great. I think it's awesome. It's what a cool background. Everything. This is great.
Yeah. It's, man, thanks so much for coming on. I was, because, like I said, my dad graduated from Post Falls High School. I lived the bulk of my life up till about 30 in Post Falls, and I moved to Coeur d'Alene. So anytime someone's doing something that greatly benefits the community, I'm just always interested in. And I always just want to hear how people how they decide, I think this would be a cool idea, and then turn that vision into reality. So thanks a lot, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Hey, and if you are, if you haven't been out there, even if you're not a golfer, the restaurant is awesome. They've got an event center, obviously Anchored Coffee, who's super cool. I mean, it is a sight to see. Check it out, and support a local business, and drop in. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Like this, share this, comment on it, do whatever you need to do to help me grow this site. Hey, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.